This is the 40th anniversary of the passage of the Developmental Disabilities Bill of Rights and Assistance Act by Congress in 1971. The DD Act, as we commonly refer to it as, is the piece of legislation that created developmental disability councils across the country. It also created the protection advocacy system and the University Centers for Excellence in Developmental Disabilities.
As a young person trying to go to the movies, there I was in my wheelchair, and I would have to park in the aisle because there was no place to park. And sometimes they would tell you, we really don't want you here because you're a fire hazard. So I was even thinking of making a t-shirt that said fire hazard.
I was in college, undergraduate, and there was absolutely no accessible material. And you would spend hours and hours and hours in the library looking through the card with a volunteer sighted reader, looking through the card catalog, reading the abstracts, then going through the microfiche, and you can just imagine how one does research when someone else is reading.
1972 was the first time I actually visited an institution in Massachusetts, where the people with disabilities were grouped in a large room. Some were tied down. I met people with cross disabilities, children bunched up in a room, and I have to admit, at that point, I said, oh, I felt sorry for the people that were there.
When I was 4, in daycare, my parents told me that my teacher let me do whatever I wanted because they didn't know how to deal with me, because I was deaf. If I needed to take a nap, they just let me take a nap on my own. If I wanted to take a nap on the playground, they would let me sleep there.
I think the ignorance doesn't bother me as much as the insensitivity, you know, and some of the things that people will say. When I was in high school, I had a young man say to me, just randomly, I didn't know this young man, he said, "Can you have sex?" And I said, "Right now?"
I had polio in 1946. My battles were personal battles to try to overcome the environment at that time. There were no curb cuts. I couldn't get in the stores in my little town. Even the public library was inaccessible. The fact that I had just been out for this big demonstration for a lift on every new bus was pivotal in my thinking, a zero-step entrance on every new house. Up until that time, I had just coped. Young woman trying to find an apartment to live in, very few. Very few houses I could be a renter in. So I had lived it over and over, but it never occurred to me that it could be different, that the way houses are built, again, was a decision, not something God dictated. It's really true that the disability rights movement is a civil rights movement, and many people are not aware of it, but it's been an enormous force.
I like to study history, but not study. For fun, I love to hang out with my friends, go see movies, and go hang out at the ice cream shop. I love hunting. I love fishing.
I was told by more than one person, I think, that the main thing you do at school is flirt with all the cute girls. Is that true?
Yes, sir, it is. That is the truth. But there ain't nothing wrong with flirting. Getting a car was a really big triumph for me. When I was younger, I used to think, how am I going to have a car? How am I going to be able to drive? How am I going to have a normal life? That's very nice of having stuff that's wheelchair accessible, but most people's houses aren't wheelchair accessible. A couple of my friends, I have to walk upstairs or they have to carry me. That's really embarrassing when they have to carry an 18-year-old man. There's nothing that tells me, "Sir Charlie, you're in a wheelchair. You can't do that. You can't do this. You can't do that." We can do anything that y'all can do, but better.
I like karate.
You like karate? What do you want to be when you grow up?
Police officer.
Police officer, yes. He loves school. He just enjoys going to school. And the day when he says that he doesn't want to go to school is the day that I start worrying. For me, it might not be all the rosy picture. Yes, there have been a lot of struggles, and every day and every year we have to go through a new struggle with the school system. We talk about inclusion, so it's a struggle. You have to fight for it on a daily basis. Yes, there has been a lot that has happened, and there's some very good work that has been done, but I think a lot more can be done. A lot more can be done. I just don't want the moon for Angad. I want the moon, the sky, the stars, the whole world for him. And maybe that's asking for too much, but at least I'll get somewhere close to it.
What's made the most difference in my life is now that you have buses with lifts on them, people like myself can go from point A to point B by riding a train or either the bus. Every time my daughter, my 9-year-old, gets ready to go anywhere, she wants to make sure that it's accessible for her daddy to go. If her daddy can't go, she gets very upset.
I want to be a boss of a business.
You want to have your own business?
No, I want to be a boss.
A boss.
Of a business. Like I said, I want to be the boss at Stone Mountain Park.
I missed my old job and moved, and I will find a new job from my job coach.
If you ask me what I hope the next 40 years are going to be like, it's that we still have those expectations, that people are going to be able to do what everybody else does. And I think the biggest hope is that people can be fully employed.
The philosophy and the spirit of the ADA and the DD Act really speak to the quality of life that we expect and embrace in our country and in our society. The greatest challenges for accessibility and people in wheelchairs are the preconceived ideas and the prejudice of those people around them. We can build ramps, we can build handicap accessible homes and buildings and so forth, but really the biggest challenge is going to be educating our fellow man.
I think law is a small tool of social change. I do think that it's useful and something that I have found because I've been trained as a lawyer to threaten people to sue them. I have not sued anybody, but just the threat and signing a letter with Esquire, it shuts people up and it makes them move.
I really personally like the use of person-first language, not because I don't have pride in being a person with a disability, but because I am a person before anything. And that being a personhood is the thing that is the common ground. We're all people, and if we can start there, I think that the focus on differences would be minimized.
And once I got just a little bit outside of my shell and saw that there was so much unconditional love coming from everywhere around me, and knowing that, that my son still looked to me as a man, a leader, and a father. There's been a lot of physical challenges that come along with spinal cord injury that get in the way. So back to that moment of looking out the window and see the kids coming down the street home from school. That was the moment when I thought, okay, well, you've got to do something. And everything is what you make of it. Pete, if there was a mirror here.
I think we've come a tremendous way in 40 years. I think we've made tremendous progress in where people with developmental disabilities are in Georgia and throughout the country. But I hesitate to allow us to stare into that mirror too long and to only focus on what we've done, because if we do, then we're going to kind of miss out on the opportunities that exist in the future and miss out on the opportunities that result in people having even better lives than they have now and creating better places to live not only for people with developmental disabilities, but for all people.